As human beings, we are hardwired for love and belonging. We are hardwired for connection. Your brain is wired to seek connection out. And one of the biggest reasons that relationships break down, be that an intimate relationship, a relationship between a parent and a child, between friendships, is oftentimes because of a disconnect that happens. And so connection looks like something. And today I'm going to talk about something called love languages and how you can practically use them to fill the need that you have for connection and to communicate to the people that you love how you love them and how you value them. I'm Dianne. I'm a clinical psychologist. If you're new here, welcome. Feel free to subscribe and say hi in the comments. So we're going to look at 5 love languages. Now, love languages is a concept that was developed by a relationship therapist called Chapman. And he uses the analogy of a car. So he talks about needing fuel in the tank of your car. That's what love is. That's what connection is for human beings. We need to feel loved. We need to feel like we belong. And there are certain things unique to each individual that make us feel like we're loved and that make us feel that we are connected to other people. And so I'm going to run through the 5 today. As I'm running through them, I want you to think about yourself and to think about those who are closest to you. So maybe pick a person. Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your child, maybe it's your mom. Think about a person and think about yourself and see if any of these jump out at you. Now, the way that we give love and the way that we receive love tend to be the same. So if you have a love language, you will find that you give love in that way, as well as that's the thing that makes you feel loved when other people do that for you. Now, most people have got 2 love languages that run really close to one another. You've got one primary one and then a secondary one that comes really close behind. So the first is touch. And this is not a romantic type of touch. This is more of an affection. And so people whose love language is touch, we tend to see that they might touch you on the arm when they laugh, or they will love to go in for a hug. They tend to be a little bit more affectionate and a little bit more in your space than the average person when it comes to physical touch. So if you're in a relationship with a loved one and their love language is touch and they're upset, you do not need to say anything. A hug, a warm, authentic, lingering hug goes a really, really long way for those people. The second love language is what we call words of affirmation. So this is basically words of praise. It's things like, I'm really proud of you. You're doing a really good job. Oh, you're so good at that. And you will find that if this is somebody's love language, then they will be very generous with their words, and they will always verbally tell you what they like most about you, or what they think that you've done well. The third is quality time. And quality time is not necessarily about going to the movies together or being in each other's presence as much as it is the quality of the time that you spend together. And so oftentimes it's a meaningful conversation, a meaningful connection. It's where you look at the other person and that's the center of your world in that moment. The fourth one is what we call acts of service. So this might be running an errand for somebody, or filling up the dishwasher, or unpacking the dishwasher, or doing something really practical. It's a practical task. And again, if you have a friend, if you know somebody who's always willing to be pragmatic and bring you a meal or run to the shop for you or do something practical, it's probably because their love language is acts of service. The last one is gifts. Now, people whose love language are gifts, it's not about the monetary value of the gift. It's about the thought behind it. It's about communicating to the person that I was thinking about you. So it might be, for example, going to the shop and knowing that somebody has a favorite chocolate and buying it for them, or walking home and picking a flower for that person because you know that they like that flower. That's what gifts is about. Now, love languages in relationships can feel a little bit like you're speaking Greek and the other person is speaking French, and you're trying to communicate and wondering why you're getting so frustrated with one another, because there's so much misunderstanding that happens in this space. Now, what most of us do is we take our own love language and we speak it to the other person. We assume that the thing that makes us feel loved and valued and appreciated and connected is going to make the other person feel the same way too. And so if I am communicating with somebody whose love language is touch, but I don't really need a whole lot of touch, I need gifts, then, well, I'm going to give you a gift. And then your partner goes, but I don't really care about your gift. And I don't really feel appreciated when you give me gifts. And then you feel really hurt and upset, and we don't really understand why that happens. And this is a really simple way of understanding that what your partner needs is for you to give him a hug. And what you need is for him to give you a gift. And so when we can communicate explicitly about our needs, it becomes so much easier to navigate this. And it's a really practical, hands-on, concrete thing that you can do to make your partner feel more loved. So go and get curious. What is their love language? And what can I do to meet the need? Equally, if you are feeling dissatisfied and really frustrated in any relationship, go and ask yourself, what is it that I need from this person? Because your partner, your mum, your dad, your friends, your parents, your kids, whoever it is, they're not mind readers. And they can't read what it is you need unless you tell them it. So if I know that my love language is touch, for example, then I'm going to communicate. First person will be with my partner, and I'm going to say, this is what I've learned. This is what my love language is. Actually, when you give me a hug, it makes me feel like all of the world's problems disappear. And in that moment, I feel really connected and we're okay. And go and communicate that. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, I want him to do it, or I want her to do it because he or she wants to do it, not because I ask them to do it. Such a common thing that comes up in relationships. And sometimes you have to do the work. You have to spend the time teaching your partner how you need to be loved and what that actually looks like. It is also much easier to speak another person's love language for them when you've had your own needs met. When you don't get your own needs met and you don't feel loved and connected, what we tend to do is we put up walls and we protect ourselves. Self-preservation, it's instinct to survive. And this is a bit of give and take, particularly in romantic relationships. If you are willing to speak your partner's love language before they've spoken yours, they will be significantly more willing to speak yours back to you, but you have to communicate it. Take responsibility for sharing with your partner, for sharing with your loved one what it is that you need from them, and ask them what it is that they need from you. And it works both ways. Drop me a note in the comments and let me know what your love language is, and let me know if you have noticed anything that's been useful. I will see you in my next video.